The Pursuit week 11 is done. Recording this on a Wednesday, so we're already in the middle of week 12, but it is crazy to talk about that. And then Hyrox is 10 days away. And then 2 weeks after that is the marathon. So things are really closing in, and kind of the work's pretty much done at this point. It's just counting off the long runs we have left. It's, again, we've talked before, we have 12 miles this week, and that's not even really a long run in our eyes at this point. And then 20 miles is the peak week, which is also the weekend we do our Hyrox. So that's going to be a fun weekend, big weekend. And, we may do more than 20. So we'll see. But then after that, it's tapering for the marathon. So, Patrick, how you feeling?
Amazing. It's getting real. It's been real this entire process, but yeah, we're closing in on Hyrox. I was talking to Tristan about this morning. I definitely feel less prepared for Hyrox just because majority of our workouts, I'd say like 70% has just been focused on running, which is good. Majority of Hyrox is running. People consider it who've done it a Hyrox to be a running race. But there are just some movements in Hyrox I really want to work on, and Tristan agrees, mainly the burpee broad jumps. I just haven't done those nearly as much as everything else in this progress. So I'm going to focus a lot on this week and just the remaining 10 days on burpees and just whatever else I can. And I'm back in Dallas until the Hyrox event, which is good. So I'll have the gym the entirety of the time. So it's definitely going to be a main focus. But yeah, we've made it so far, and we've been super disciplined with running. That's mainly what I'm proud of. Like, we've talked about it in past videos. We really haven't missed any running workouts. I don't think we've missed a singular one. And if we did, we make it up later in the week. We adjust our rest days accordingly. So I feel really confident about the marathon, and I've never ran one. Um, I'm kind of known to be like that, so I got to kind of humble myself a little bit and just understand what I'm getting myself into. But yeah, I mean, mentally, I feel really good about everything.
Yeah, and Hyrox wise, it's all our workouts have been training as if you were doing a solo. So that's like the full ski, the full row, the full length of the farmer's carry. So it's all this stuff that we've been training for the full thing, but then race day we're going to cut it in half. So it's like I'm really excited for that because I'm really looking at it as this is an hour of like all out, and it's I
Yeah.
haven't done something like that in a long time, and I haven't done something like that in a team in forever. So it's like I know we're going to push each other, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully it's like we finish and we have nothing left. But then it's like we did the best we could do. So, I mean, maybe that means we go out a little hot on the first run, which I know you're not supposed to do. But
We definitely will.
yeah, so
100% that's going to happen.
yeah. And then as far as talking about the marathon, yeah, I think you should feel good right now. And this is the best I've felt as a runner. By far, most consistent I've been with any plan. The only run I truly cut short on the marathon plan was 1 5 mile easy day, and my calf was super tight, and I only did three. Aside from that, every mile I ran, and like sometimes I mixed up a day or two, but uh, it is crazy just looking back the last 11 and a half weeks up to this point, how many miles have really been run and just how consistent, and like the little Strava graph of like increased mileage. Like that's cool. And I just want to keep it up after the marathon. So again, it's like we've talked before. Yes, these are little tests that we've signed up for. And like come race day, it's like, this is the test. So you just got to perform. But then after that, it's okay, when's the next test? And then what is
Mm-hmm.
the next test? So that's kind of where my mind's at. But it's also, I definitely don't want to. I want to focus on what's ahead. And 10 days away, we have Hyrox. Then a couple weeks after that, we have marathon. So I know, like flying out to you in Dallas for the Hyrox weekend, it's gonna be a cool experience. And I think it's kind of fitting that our peak marathon week is that week because normally you would taper to go into a Hyrox, but
Fuck
just
no.
looking at it, yeah, just looking at it, I'm not too worried about it. Kind of the hard runs are largely done from a tempo perspective. Well, as I'm saying that, I want to say the next week's tempo is 11 800-meter repeats, which is going to be terrible. But that'll be done on a Tuesday, so we should have plenty of time to recover and be good by Saturday. And then the real question for me is how bad we're going to feel waking up after the Hyrox to then go run 20 plus miles. So I literally changed my flight to make sure that we do this. So we are locked in and we will be doing that long run that Sunday. So
I
excited.
think the High Rocks weekend's going to be like the major test. And I think when we do accomplish that, as in competing, not just getting through the High Rocks, actually trying to place in it and win, doing that and then doing 20 plus miles, like mentally, the marathon's going to be cake, I think. And after this, I don't really want to go back to like normalcy meaning not being in some type of program, because I don't want this edge that I feel like I've gained mentally to dissipate. Like I want to keep building and keep growing. And like Tristan said it multiple times in past videos, like these are like little tests in our head. Like the process of going through all of this and continuing to elevate these challenges. Like who knows, an ultra could be next or an Ironman. We don't know what we're going to do next. Nothing's really in the books yet, but it's the inevitable pursuit for our lives. Like we both have grown to have a passion for running and these types of fitness challenges. So I'm just excited to see what's next. And the accumulation of 11 weeks, like now, it's been a long time. Like 11 weeks is a long time. And the whole accumulation of this training, like now I'm personally really starting to see the progress with how I feel running. And like faster paces just feel easy and like they feel way more comfortable. And I'll just kind of jump into my high from this past week. It was definitely the long run, 18 miles. That's the longest I've ever ran. And I wasn't going crazy fast. Like I'd say 70% of it was slow. It was like in between 9 and 10 minute paces. But towards the end, where I should feel just exhausted and just like need to get through it, I was cranking like 7 and 8 minute miles just because it felt good. And like getting through that just it felt amazing. So yeah, I feel like we're in a really good spot for both races.
Yeah, I mean, it's just talking about the marathon. I truly think come race day, the kind of differentiating factor is going to be fueling. And if you fuel properly and hydrated every water station, like we're going to have a great race because it's like physically we're there. Like we've done the training and I know we haven't had our peak week yet, but we've had 11 straight weeks of consistency. And so I'm not at all worried about like fitness level. It's more just like make sure that our bodies react appropriately to like the fueling we have. We don't under fuel. We don't bonk. So, which is like, that's the hardest part because you obviously, that's what you do on race day. But um, that largely will be the biggest factor of our race, which is exciting to me because it's like mentally, hopefully that's what our focus is on. It's not about, oh wow, I'm under prepared for this race. Like that's not the feeling we want, and that's not the feeling I think we will have. So yeah, I guess in talking about my 18-mile run, I woke up Saturday to do it, and I didn't do it Saturday. I don't. I could give a bunch of excuses. I mental, but I think it comes down to mentally. I just wasn't in it, and this was the longest I've run in probably since March or February, and I haven't done that many of these long runs, so I definitely was nervous about it, and mentally I was just checked out on the Saturday. But I woke up Sunday, woke up early, fueled before the run, and like at that point I knew I had to get it done, and mentally I just felt like I had an edge. So it's like going through my run, I really enjoyed it for the majority of the run, and then even at the end, like physically from a cardio perspective, I felt fine. It was just my legs were definitely tired, but my fastest mile was still my last mile. Actually, probably the last couple miles were some of the faster miles, so I definitely did pick it up, and that was a big confidence boost for me as well. But just looking at it and like reflecting in my last prep, it's I only did 18 miles once. I didn't do the 20-mile run. So coming into peak week next week, that's where I think I'll get my most confidence. And hopefully, I think we do at least 22. We'll decide on the day, but uh, and I'll just hash this out. It doesn't make sense to me how a marathon plan has you peak 6 miles less than the race distance.
I
Like
agree.
that's a long time. That's like that's not
We
2 or 3 miles. So
no, we were talking about this, and one of our other buddies who's heavily into these races and everything, Jordan will shout you out, you bastard. He was basically telling us it's a bad idea to try and do 26 before the marathon. But I just think mentally it'll just give us such a big edge. And like the extra 6 miles, like, could that really hurt us during peak week if we're already doing 20? That's Tristan and I's thoughts process. I don't know if anyone who watches these has any commentary or who's done multiple marathons, but like we feel like it's totally doable and we think it would be beneficial.
I think it's totally doable. It's just the level of how far you want to go. So, I mean, I think there's a big difference between 20 and 22, because then that's the difference between four more and six more. So, uh, yeah,
100%.
yeah. So who knows? But that's kind of where our heads are at as far as what we're actually going to do on peak week next week. But um, yeah, I mean, it's just been, for me, it's really cool to do this with someone as opposed to having like done it alone before. It's just that extra sense of accountability. It's that same thing of, or accountability, and then like having these conversations where we talk about the week, and it's like we're not going through this journey alone, and that really has been cool for me. And it's like we're just close to one payoff, and then 2 weeks later we're going to be at the next payoff. So it's kind of like, I know we have a couple weeks left, so I definitely don't want to be like saying that we're closing this journey, but it's definitely getting to that point, and it's insane just to think about like where I was in September or where I was when we started this. Like I run in Wake Forest down in Winston Salem, and I'm in Charlottesville right now, like Allentown where I live, like all this stuff. Like the locations have changed so much for me over the last 10, 11 weeks, but the work hasn't. Like the work's gotten done. So it is really cool just to sit back and reflect on it right now.
Yeah, it shows the consistency that we've shown throughout this process. We're both traveling like crazy and it just like hasn't affected us one bit, which is just super cool. Like I literally just drove 7 hours today. It's 7:30 my time, 8:30 Tristan's time. I'm about to go for a run after this. Like we've talked about it in other videos prior, but it's like there's no emotions in any of this. It's like we have a run today, so we have to do the run today. Period. That's it.
Yeah, it goes back to, you always feel better after doing the run, and that's
Yeah.
like that's what we do it for. That's what we love it for. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how much else I have, honestly. It's just
Me
we're
neither. I'm just
getting
fired
we're
up.
getting yeah, we're just getting to a point where this really feels real, but we also just feel so good about it. So like I'm just excited for that, because that's like a good mesh of emotions to have after this long journey that's still not over yet. But it's like I went into, candidly speaking, the marathon I run, I went in feeling very underprepared and with a huge level of uncertainty. But I knew my fueling was going to be okay to the best of my ability, and it was. But anything after 18 miles was like extra. So like once I got to 20, I didn't know how I was supposed to be feeling, and I mean I didn't hit the wall till mile 23. So uh, it's just different this time, which is really cool. So
Yeah. And I do have one more thing to say, and it's different than anything we've been talking about. So I was at my buddy Ryan's house yesterday. I was finishing up work. It was like 5 o'clock. He's a big cook. So he called me and he's like, "Hey, I'm making this recipe, blah, blah, blah. You want to come over and try it out and have dinner?" And I was like, "Sure. Why not?" Ryan is not a runner. He doesn't work out. He's a Southern boy. He hunts, he drinks, he smokes cigarettes, he fishes, and he indulges in things. And he offered me a glass of wine. He offered me a joint, and I was like, "No, man, I gotta run after this." And he's like, "What is the deal with all this? Like, why are you doing all this? Like, no girl's gonna ask you your marathon time. No one gives a shit." And I'm like, "See, Ryan, I love you, and we're really good friends, but that's where we differ, brother. I'm not doing it to impress anybody. I'm doing it because it's a disciplined thing that Tristan and I agreed that we're both going to finish and follow through. And I want to see what I can do. I want to see what I'm capable of. And growing through this process has just grown my love for doing these hard things and pursuing difficult things because it does make a difference. It changes who you are as a person. It lets you grow. It lets you see what you're capable of. And accomplishing these things just like gives you so much power in your mind just to continue to grow and accomplish other things. So a lot of people I've accepted just they're not going to get it, and it's not my job to even have them even just to like let them understand it. Like it's my thing, and they don't have to get it, but I'm glad I'm doing it.
A little bit of a mic drop moment right there, but I just want to summarize it with that's the infinite game. Like a lot of people won't get it, and the reality is, it's not talking from any like pedestal or above anyone, because I truly believe anyone can change, anyone can pursue something, but the vast majority of people don't do anything. That's not to say that they don't have a job, they don't have families, but they don't do anything hard in their lives. It's never been easier to live as a human in the United States and have an easy life. You have a job, you have a place to live. You can get up, go to work, come home, sit on the couch and watch TV, go to bed, repeat that 5 times a week, and then have a weekend off. It doesn't get much easier than that. So you have to willingly choose to challenge yourself, willingly choose to pursue something. And like in this realm is where we're playing the infinite game of what can I do? What can Patrick do? And it's not really a competition against anyone else. We definitely like to compete amongst each other, but ultimately Patrick's doing it for himself. I'm doing it for me. And so it's me against me. It's Patrick against Patrick. So yeah, and we'll climb other mountains after these mountains are done being climbed. But yeah, another week done, but the journey is infinite. The journey is long. So next time you'll see us, we will be. Oh no, I got ahead of it.
One more.
Ahead of it. One more. Yeah. All right. So nothing will change next week, but in 2 weeks we will be done with Hyrox. So another week done. Let's go.
Yep.